we have a treat for everybody today. I've been in B2B sales and marketing for over a decade, and I feel like the roles between the two teams are dramatically misunderstood. And so that's kind of the point of today. We're gonna just have some conversation around it. We have a rock star panel today with Talia and Lexi. So I'll let you guys just introduce yourselves briefly, and then I'll give everyone the kind of rundown of what the next 25 minutes will hold, and then Lexi, you can take it away from there. So I'll let you guys introduce yourselves briefly.
You want to go first, Lexi?
Yeah, sure. Well, I am Lexi Manning. I have been at HubSpot for 2 years next month, so coming up on that. And I'm a growth specialist here at HubSpot, so just helping people evaluate our different products that are on the platform.
Perfect. So I'm Talia Jones. I've been at HubSpot for about 7.5 months, but I've got a background in broadcast TV and logistical sales. And I really help solutions partners and customers really evaluate their software and kind of find the best path forward for them.
Perfect. And I'm Luke Harmon. I own a marketing agency. My background is I had a software company for a decade and sold it, and now just work with other B2B firms, standing up their sales and marketing initiatives. We do a lot of HubSpot implementations. So what to expect for the next 25 minutes is Lexi's going to first just give us some context for like, what is HubSpot? And then Talia will share roles of marketing versus sales. And then I'll do about a 10-minute incredibly practical exercise. I just want to show you guys, I'll share my screen, and if anybody wants it, I can share it afterwards. A practical exercise about how to divide up the roles and make sure everyone's on the same page. So with that being said, I'll let Lexi take it away and give us some context into what is HubSpot. And Talia and I will stop sharing our videos so that Lexi can take the full screen.
Perfect. Thanks, Luke. Awesome. So just to kick us off here really with, what is HubSpot? And I'll try to, keep it pretty simple, but HubSpot's really an all-in-one platform. So with this, like what we're trying to help our customers do is be able to track their customers' life cycle. So thinking of it from, on the marketing side of things, the first time someone comes to your website, until they're a promoter of your brand. So we do this with our marketing, sales, service tools, and just try to have that like all-in-one solution, like I mentioned. And really where we see a lot of success are like the small to mid-sized businesses, because we have a platform that's so easy to use, where you can keep all of your data, all of your customer information, nurture those customers, but also scale with you, right? So like when you're thinking of really growing your business, or one day, being more of an enterprise, still being able to use HubSpot, but having that, kind of long-term solution for you. And I know today we're really going to focus on talking about like the marketing and sales side of things. I think that's one place like where HubSpot like really excels, is that alignment between the two, so that it makes the, easy on the marketing side, or for the marketers to see like the ROI and effectiveness of their marketing efforts, but having that kind of seamless handoff to sales with those really quality leads. And that way you have those two really in sync and working together. So yeah, so that's kind of like overview for HubSpot. Not sure if there's anything else you guys want me to add in there, or any questions at all.
No, I think that's a really good starting point, just to kind of talk it through.
Perfect. Yeah, and then Talia, you can go through the sales and marketing roles, and if questions come up, we'll be monitoring that, and I can pose them as they come up. So feel free, if anybody wants to drop them in the Q&A.
Okay, perfect. So really kind of talking through the roles of sales and marketing teams. The goal is really to unite your sales and marketing team so you can drastically improve your customer's experience with your brand and ultimately your bottom line. So really, we want to help you achieve optimal sales and marketing or Smarketing alignment. And that can really be challenging without having the right tools and tactics. a lot of that centers around the current world. So the digital experience has really created a world where customers can learn about, engage, demo, and really engage with your products in just a few clicks. So your prospects have access to unlimited information about your brand, and we want to help, and they really expect a cohesive on-brand experience no matter where or how they engage with you. And that can make it tough because before you ever get the opportunity to talk to them, your marketing team and or your sales team, they've already had this experience. So what we want to help teams do is develop a customer first experience that really resolves customers' pain points and meets them wherever they are within the customer journey. So we want to help your marketing teams not only educate your client about your solutions and generate interest, but we really want to make sure that we are tying that into the sales team's job, which are to qualify prospects, build relationships, provide them with solutions that support their goals and resolve those pain points. And in order to do that, we really have to understand the prospect's journey and clearly articulate what our products and services are and that they are the best solutions to their challenges. So if we just kind of tie that back into that term, Smarketing, that was coined by HubSpot in the early 2000s. And it really is just an alignment of sales and marketing through consistent communication. And the goal is to help your teams create measurable goals that hold everyone accountable and contribute to the organization's bottom line. So that could be a series of different things. But for example, they might work together to define lead service level agreements, or that may also have contingency plans to help teams follow up with a certain number of leads that they receive. So we want to pave the way for your teams to work together on individual and shared goals that improve the customer experience. We may want to establish mutually agreed upon SLAs to govern and hold both teams accountable. And we may want to reevaluate those goals on a regular basis to identify opportunities for improvement for both teams so that we ultimately create that fruitful experience. And a lot of that is tied back into account-based marketing, which is really a growth strategy to help you target high-value accounts through personalization, intentional nurturing, strong sales, and marketing alone. And so we want to lean heavily not only on, reaching the right accounts with the right message at the right time, but helping your teams to allocate resources to those target accounts. And so we really want to help you do that by creating synergy between your sales and marketing teams so that they make sure that their goals are always aligned. And there's a lot of moving targets that come into play. So a lot of times we want to bring that back to cross-functional goals and KPIs so that marketing and sales are both on the same page, building out buyer personas. So who are we targeting? How does the messaging need to differentiate between those two people? And then also really having a solid plan for lead qualification. Like, what is the difference for you between a contact, and when does that contact become a lead, and when does that lead become an MQL, and when does that MQL become an SQL or an opportunity? And making sure that everybody's aligned on what those terms are, and then making sure that you have a seamless process between marketing and sales so that there's no gaps there and there's nothing that's bumpy. So when that prospect is ready to move, they are automatically being hit with the right message and going to the right person. The other end of that is really data visibility. So is there a centralized place where you can see the entire customer journey? Is there a centralized place where you could potentially see where this lead became a prospect, or what things your teams are doing on both the marketing and sales side that are making the most impact? And then can you tweak those so that they are having more impact continually? And just to kind of tie everything up, buyers' journeys are evolving and the line between sales and marketing is continuing to blur. So your sales team may be contacted by someone who's self-nurtured by reading digital content, and your marketing team may want to re-engage existing leads in your pipeline. So we want to make sure that both teams can effectively reach out to buyers on their terms, but that they have all the data that they need from both sides to make sure that you're getting that right message to the right contact at the right time. And you are really building out a top tier customer experience based on analytics and growth. So I'm going to hand it back over to Luke because he's going to help you define some of the life cycle stages and be able to dig a little bit more into how you can really define that process.
Perfect. Thanks, Talia. Yeah, so I think with the next 10 minutes, what I will do is I will share my screen and show. Okay, so here's the main premise of this LinkedIn Live was how to get sales and marketing in the right roles. So this is what I think I'd like to spend probably 5 or 10 minutes on, and this is probably the most helpful. So every time we work with a client and they start to say, how do we understand like who's in charge of a lead or not? I always have them start here. And so let me walk through this and explain it. And then what I want to do is if anybody wants this, I can send it to them. But okay, so think about, well, and even before this, think about anybody who could become a client. Think of it as like suspects and prospects. Suspects are, you know, people that could become clients. Maybe you see them on LinkedIn, maybe you go buy an email list or something like that. That's suspects out in the world. What we're looking at here is prospects. Like they've given their information to you or your company on some level. And so now how do you think about them? So this is what I would kind of want to communicate today. And what I would encourage is for anybody that is struggling with this to just fill out this, and then I can show you what to do with it. But okay, let's say someone comes in. First, give them a life cycle stage and define that. So this is a good starting place, saying, hey, someone's a lead, and this shows top to bottom. A lead is someone who just barely gives their info to us, and then at the bottom is where you eventually want to get them to a paying customer. So, and this, you could have many more stages in here. This template is what I would say is a complete starting place. To give a live look, this is one of the clients that we work with. They started here, and what they did was they took it internally, they beat it up with their BDR team, their sales team, their marketing team, and this is a live look at like how theirs looks today. The most important piece is that you align on these different things. So here are the things to align on. So life cycle stage, assigning lead, marketing qualified lead, sales qualified lead, customer, or whatever other ones you want. The next thing is to define each of those. So like in this example, this baseline example, I would say a lead is, what I wrote in here is, the contact has given us their info, more than just an email address. And then the next definition under marketing qualified lead is, then now this person has raised their hand and said they want a demo. So that's the new definition for MQL. And you might hear different definitions out there for like sales qualified lead, marketing qualified lead. The reason is because everyone does define it differently. And the most important thing is that you use it can be as simple as a spreadsheet like this, but everyone on your team needs to define it the same way. Say, at my company, what is an MQL? And the other piece here, if you notice line 3, is once someone crosses this threshold from lead to MQL, that's the marketing to sales handoff. So what I encourage clients to do is like on day 1, like as you go through this exercise, align internally of like, who is responsible for this contact? And the way you know that is by the definition of the stage you give to them. And then obviously here, you know, in this baseline example, once they go from a sales qualified lead to customer, that hands off from sales to services or customer support or customer success, or however you define that internally. So okay, so definition, tools, HubSpot marketing for lead, HubSpot marketing for MQL, and then that transitions to HubSpot sales and HubSpot services. If you want to know more about the HubSpot suite, let any of us know. These are all different products that HubSpot has. I highly encourage you to define triggers as well. So what is the trigger for someone to become a lead versus an MQL? In this case, in this baseline example, if someone downloads something that is softer, like a white paper, an ebook, a lead magnet, then they go as a lead. But if they fill out schedule a demo, they automatically jump to marketing qualified lead. The other key to define is rules. So like, check this out. In this example, now this is different for every company, like sales cycles differ, ticket prices differ, but like, here's an example. Don't let anyone stay in MQL for more than 30 days. And like, that's not a hard and fast rule. That's just like an example of a rule to have in place for clarity on your teams, because most sales teams just want to focus on leads that are hot or warm. And so if you do this, as new leads keep getting moved into MQL, that keeps the sales teams focus on just the hottest leads. And so that they can drop back down to a lead after a certain amount of time. And then the last three things that I highly encourage people to do when thinking through Smarketing, sales and marketing responsibilities, is to define the team's responsibilities at each of these stages. So in that case I was just talking about, let's say someone becomes a marketing qualified lead, the sales team should know that's our green light. We need to email them, call them, LinkedIn message them, by any means necessary, move them from an MQL to an SQL, sales qualified lead, you know? And it's also incredibly helpful to know on the marketing side, what are the marketing team's responsibilities at this stage? Like going up one level to lead, as that bucket of people grows in the lead category, then what is the responsibility there? Should the marketing team be putting a nurture campaign together or a periodic newsletter or things like that kind of get in front of that group? Let's see, here's a good question. I might answer it in a second. I don't know if you guys can see it on my screen. Actually, let me answer a question right now, because we do have a little bit of time, and if Hector asked it, so maybe other people would be wondering it too. It says, I find that people get turned off by quote unquote gated content, so they may refrain from putting their email for ebook or white paper so that they can get somewhere else. So my 2 cents there, because that kind of goes to here, is you need to be really strategic about, you can't just, here's the way I think about that ebook needs to be, so I think about sugar-coated kale. The kale is your product. The sugar would be a white paper or ebook that is good enough that if they download it, that tells you that they're into the kale. So sugar-coated kale. A good example would be, the most basic example is, think about 24-hour fitness. If they always try to sell gym memberships, it's hard for someone to go from nothing to a gym membership. But if the sugar in that case would be, if someone researched, how do I get healthy in 2023? Make that gated. Now they're a little bit closer to, now you can educate them. That was the sugar, that you can educate them on why they need a gym membership. So I do think that not everyone will put their email in, but you also, as a salesperson, don't want to spend time with people that the pain isn't enough, or they're not interested enough to put their email in. So that's just how I would answer that. If anybody else has questions, we can continue to make it a conversation. But as I'm sharing my screen, this was kind of the main part of the presentation. If you're struggling with the roles of sales and marketing, I highly encourage you, use a document like this. It can be very simple to define the life cycle stages, define them, what tools are you using, what are the triggers, what rules move people back and forth, and what are people's responsibilities. From there, once you have that baseline, that's where HubSpot comes in, because once you have that defined, then it's easy to configure HubSpot. If you just start with HubSpot, those are going to be questions you have to answer anyways. So as you fill this out, and then you want a tool to supercharge the roles and make it really clear for, okay, this is when a salesperson gets tagged in, this is when the marketing team is responsible. So I'll do kind of a couple calls to action. You can reach out to Lexi, Talia, or myself to talk about HubSpot. And then also, if you're at that stage and you're saying, well, okay, now I want to go get 500 more people in that lead category, and I want to do, or I have a ton of people in the sales category, what do I do with them now? that's where Serendipity thrives, and we work with any B2B brands on sales and marketing. So you can either reach out to us on LinkedIn. A good place to do that, I'll share my screen one last time, is if you're on the event, you can, on details, you can see all three of us. So you can connect with all three of us there, or we'll be sending an email out afterwards, and feel free to respond to that with any questions you may have. So with that, we might even wrap up a little bit early here, but I don't know if Talia or Lexi have any closing comments.
No, I love the life cycle stage document. I think that it's super, super helpful to help your teams define what the end goal is, and then building out a process after that is a lot simpler once you have defined terms on what your goals are.
Absolutely. Awesome, everybody. Well, we'll wrap up 5 minutes early and give everyone 5 minutes back, but thank you so much for attending, and we've enjoyed sharing.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Have a good one.
Thank you.